dashing through the snow in a one-horse open sleigh, laughing as we go, happy all the way.
Thank you for coming this evening. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, attendees and participants, and welcome to the December 14th, 2021 meeting of the City of Tampa Variance Review Board. Well, I would normally say from my left the members of the board are, but there's no one to my left. So the members of the board are Brett Feldman,
Aaron Murphy,
Lynn Hertak, Sam Decker.
Also in attendance this evening, we have Simone Savino from Legal. We have Jane Madu from Development Coordination, along with Eileen Rosario. Also, we have from Natural Resources, Owen Williamson? No? Stephen Eister. Gotcha. And from Transportation, Jonathan Scott. There are some procedural rules we need to follow. Due to the COVID-19 pandemic, please adhere to safe social distancing as set forth within the room. Please maintain wearing a facial mask at all times. When your case number and petitioner's name is called, please approach the podium. When you approach the podium, please state your name, address, and if you have been sworn in. The petitioner and/or their agent will have 10 minutes to make a presentation. All other participants wishing to speak will have 3 minutes, and then the petitioner will have an additional 3 minutes for rebuttal if needed. The time periods, as stated, will be kept by the board. Any other information, such as pictures or plans that have not previously been submitted as part of your petition and that you intend to present at this hearing for consideration in support of your petition, must be individually presented and accepted by the board. After acceptance by the board, you must submit the item to staff for it to be entered and made part of the permanent record. The board bases its decision on competent and substantial evidence, which is presented and which meets the criteria required by the City Code of Ordinances. Please be sure to clearly state your hardship criteria during your presentation. A majority of the board is needed to approve your variance. A variance is granted by the board will be only for what is shown on the site plan and will be in compliance with any terms and conditions stated in the approval by the board. All other city codes will need to be met. If the case is approved, your variance will expire 2 years from the date of the decision. If the case is continued, it will be continued to either next month's VRB board agenda or the next available position on an upcoming VRB board agenda. If the case is denied, you may wish to have the variance review board's decision appealed by the City Council. You must file your petition for review of the board's decision within 14 days of the written decision. You will not be able to pull any permits until after the 14-day review period has passed. Your cooperation in ensuring that this meeting is run smoothly is greatly appreciated. Can I please have a motion from one of the board members to approve last month's meeting minutes?
I move to approve last month's meeting minutes.
Great. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you so much. All those in favor of approving last month's meeting minutes, say aye. Any opposed? Great. At this time, I will ask legal staff to please confirm whether there are any ex parte communications or conflicts among the board members.
Simone Savino, Assistant City Attorney. For those present on the board, please go ahead and confirm whether you have an ex parte communication or conflict with any of the items on the agenda tonight.
yes. Case number VRB 21-124, Derek and Marisol Hughes are personal friends, and I will need to recuse myself from that case.
Thank you. And a Form 8B has been provided to you, Mr. Murphy, is that correct?
That is correct.
Will you go ahead and hand that form to the city clerk when the item is called?
I handed it just previous. There we
Perfect.
go. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right. Is that all from legal?
Yes, sir.
Thank you very much. All right. Now I will ask staff if there are any changes to the agenda this evening.
Jane Madu, Development and Group Management. There is a change to the staff report for VRB 22-09, and a copy of the updated staff report has been provided to the board members. Additionally, VRB 22-01 has a new agent entered into the record. And the agent on this application is Maya Wiseman, and they have an affidavit that has been submitted.
Okay, thank you so much. At this time, I would ask that a staff member please conduct the swearing in. And for members of the audience, if there is a chance that you might speak tonight, please stand and be sworn.
Please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony that you're about to give today is the truth and nothing but the truth? Yes, sir. Thank you. Have a seat.
Right,
All
please
right.
proceed.
Good evening. Jane Madu for Development and Group Management. And just before I present the first case, I would like to remind the board that starting in January 2022, our new meeting time will be 5:30 p.m. as opposed to our current meeting time of 6:30.
We confirm it as 5:30 or 6 o'clock?
5:30,
Okay, all right, 5:30 it is.
and I believe the notices reflect that for anything that's been
Correct.
noticed.
The notices have already gone out for it.
Good, I'm glad you reminded me because I would have showed up at 6. Thank you.
Okay. All right. So the first case before the board this evening is VRB 21-70. The property owners are Chris and Shannon Gordon, and this is addressed at 164 Biscayne Avenue. The variance request is to reduce the front yard setback from 25 to 15 feet and reduce the side yard setback from 7 to 5. And this is in order to construct a pool. Natural Resources and Right-of-Way have reviewed and found it consistent. The Natural Resources comment says that off-site ground tree protection will be required at the time of permitting. The code section in reference is section 27-156C for the setback regulations for RS 75 zoning district. And this is an aerial showing the subject property. It's a corner lot at the intersection of Biscayne Avenue and Blanca. This is a site plan showing the area of work, and this is, of course, to construct a pool. And so they're requesting that reduction in the side yard setback from 7 to 5 and in the front from 25 to 15 feet. These are pictures that the applicant has provided and renderings showing the proposed pool and then the area where that pool would be going. The picture to the top left corner is the front of the house. In the review of this case, the board will consider section 27-80 in the determination of this variance request. Staff is available for any questions.
Right. Come on up, state your name, your address, and confirm that you've been sworn, please. And then you'll have 10 minutes to make your presentation.
Thank you very much and good evening. My name is Chris Gordon and I reside at 164 Biscayne Avenue in Tampa, and I have been sworn in. And I appreciate the time this evening to present our variance. And as noted in the initial presentation, it's a little bit confusing because the front of the home is not where we're hoping to put this pool. The pool that we desire to put in is actually in the rear of the home. We purchased the home in October of 2019 with the intent of remodeling it, replacing the roof, basically keeping the home is 71 years old. It was built in 1952. Funny, when we first moved in, we had several neighbors ask, are you going to knock it down and build a new home? No, we're going to keep the home. And again, our desire was basically just to improve it, which we've done to the point where it brought us to the backyard where we had a desire to place the pool, create just use of a traditional backyard, to use our backyard as intended. So we hired a pool company in March of this year and began the permitting process. And to our surprise, that's when it was determined that there was required setbacks because of the front yard. And I guess it was originally zoned in 1952 that the front yard was Blanca Avenue, even though The front of the home faces Biscayne, and the address is 164 Biscayne. And it's obviously situated in such a manner that it does face Biscayne. So that's kind of what brought us here. We worked through some of the complexity of that with the city. Joel Souza, Eric were both instrumental in helping us determine what was the best course of action, and ultimately it was recommended that we did apply for the variance. So this is why we're here. Reducing the front yard setback, which is along Blanca Avenue, which would be 25 feet, with that requirement, it would reduce the size of the pool that we would be able to use. So it's really and truly the hardship falls with the placement of the home, how the home is situated on the lot, as well as the zoning that was done 71 years ago. So our desire is to simply use the backyard as intended, reduce that setback from 25 feet to 15. One of the photos indicated the actual survey. As you can see, the way the home is placed on the lot, it creates kind of a peculiar pinch point in the south side of the property, and that was the reason why I was hoping to move it from 7 feet to 5 feet, to be able to get the pool in and fit where there'd still be a safe amount of walkability around the pool. And there again, by changing it from 25 to 15 would allow us to put kind of a traditional pool that we could, swim laps in or have the proper amount of length, as opposed to reducing it by about 30%, which is what would happen if we had to have the 25-foot setback. So that's my request in a nutshell, and I would appreciate any reasonable accommodation that you may consider for this variance this evening.
Thank you very much. Does that conclude your presentation?
Yes, sir.
All right. I will ask if there are any members of the audience who would like to speak about this petition. Seeing none, I will open it up for board discussion, for board questions. Does anyone on the board have any questions?
The house that is, from your front yard, the neighbor who sits in your backyard, have you spoken with them about this at all?
Yes, we have. Yeah, all of the neighbors are well aware of it, and it was a bit of a challenge explaining why we were wanting to put a pool in our front yard, because it's not the front yard. But yeah, so everyone's well aware of our intent and well supported by all of our neighbors.
Okay, thanks.
Anyone else have any questions? Okay, well, hearing none and seeing no comments from the audience, you have 3 minutes for rebuttal should you choose to use it.
Okay, I'll just leave it in your hands. Again, I would just appreciate any sort of recommendation that you may offer, and we appreciate the accommodation that you may present to us.
Okay, thank you. With that, I will close the public hearing and open it up for board motion or discussion if necessary.
I'll make a motion. I move that the variance request for case BRB 21-70 for property located at 164 Biscayne Avenue be granted as depicted on the site plan presented at the public hearing for a reduction of the front yard setback from 25 feet to 15 feet and a reduction of the side yard setback from 7 feet to 5 feet based upon the applicant presenting competent and substantial evidence in the record and at this public hearing of an unnecessary hardship or practical difficulty when considering the 5 hardship criteria set forth in section 27-80 of the city code. Specifically that the alleged hardship is singular with respect to the property, as the property is located on a corner lot and the house is situated in a manner that makes it most practical for the pool to be located in what is technically the front yard. And additionally, the neighbor who is going to be most affected by this side yard reduction is supportive of the pool.
I'll second.
Great, we have a motion to approve and a second. All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? Your petition passes. Have a great evening.
Outstanding. Thanks. Do the same.
Thank you.
Yukon Street? I'm sorry? Yukon? Yes. No, what, we'll call you. Okay.
Do we need to swear in again? We're going to go ahead and swear you in.
I'm gonna swear you in.
If you wouldn't mind, if you plan on speaking this evening, please stand and they'll swear you in.
Raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony that you're about to give today is the truth and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Thank you. You may have a seat.
All right, the next VRB case before the board is VRB 21-91, and this is addressed at 1602 East Yukon Street. And the owner is Ruth Kaymore. The agent is Ben. I'm not sure how to pronounce it, I'm sorry. It's zoned RS50. The request is to reduce the west side setback from 7 feet to 3.6 feet and reduce the rear yard setback from 20 feet to 7.7 feet. And this is a work without permits. And this is for an addition to an existing single-family residence. The code section in reference is section 27-156 with the regulations for the RS50 zoning district. Setbacks are 20 feet for the front, 20 feet for the rear, and 7 feet for the side. This is an area showing the subject property. And this is a site plan showing where those additions have gone in. So you have an addition to the east side of the existing home and an addition to the north side of the home, which is the rear. There's a picture showing the addition. There are no letters of support or objection for this variance request. And Natural Resources had found it consistent with conditions that at the time of permitting, they need to meet the green space requirement. And so in the determination of this variance request, the board would have section 27-80 as reference in the determination of this request. Staff is available for any questions.
Okay, thank you. Would the applicant please approach the podium, state your name, your address, and confirm that you've been sworn, please?
Hi, my name is Ben Stashikavich, and I'm representing Ruth Kaymore. I'm with Pete Alfonso Architects, and originally we were retained to do construction plans and
I need your address, and I need you to confirm that you've been sworn, please.
My office is at 906 East 127th Avenue in Tampa. And
you've been sworn?
Excuse me?
And you have been sworn in? I'm sorry, we have an obligation before everyone speaks that you state your name, your address, and I saw you get sworn in, but you need to confirm on the record that you've been sworn.
Okay, yeah, I've been sworn in.
Okay, thank you. Please proceed. Sorry. You have 10 minutes.
After we retained the survey, that's when we found out that the two additions were over the setback lines. And the additions are pre-engineered modular buildings that she had brought onto the site. And she was going to build out the interiors. The one on the west side was going to have 2 bedrooms, excuse me, 2 bedrooms and a bath. The one in the back is on her master bedroom, and it's just a large walk-in closet and a bathroom. So right now, after code enforcement got involved, she stopped all work, and they still need to be finished. But like I said, they were pre-engineered to meet the Florida Building Code, the shell, and the entire building is a metal stud, and they already had it attached to the building and on a concrete slab. So at this point here, we're just waiting to see if we can keep the buildings there before they build them out. And that's why I'm here.
Yeah, can you explain to us, I mean, we understand that the setback is an issue, but what we need to rely upon is the hardships that you explain to us so that we understand if we can grant the petition you're asking for.
Well,
So, and let me be clear that financial hardships of I already did the work is not a legal hardship that we can consider. So to the extent that you have hardships about the property itself, what existed there before these additions were placed, how it was situated, or any conditions about the parcel itself, if you can explain to us those hardships so that we can understand and hopefully help by granting your petition, we would like to do that, but we need to understand those hardships.
okay. There's really no financial hardship except on the sides where she wanted to build the side addition. There wasn't enough room there. That's the only hardship, basically. And she just didn't understand about the permitting process. But other than that, there is no real hardship.
Okay. Does that conclude your presentation?
Yes.
Okay. Is there any member of the public who wishes to speak about this petition this evening? Seeing none, I will open it up for board questions. Does anyone have a question for the applicant?
The addition to the north, which was the 2 more bedrooms, I guess my question is, how many bedroom and bath, and what's the square footage of the existing residence? And then what was the purpose of the additional bedrooms and baths being added to the home?
Well, it was she's an older woman and she had some family members that were going to move in with her for the 2 additional bedrooms.
And how large is the existing residence?
The existing house, it's roughly about 1,400 square feet with 2 bedrooms.
2 bedrooms and 1 bath?
Yeah, that are existing, including her master bedroom, which one of the additions was adding on a closet and a little sitting area. And that's the one facing the north.
The north is the closet and the sitting area?
Yeah, and a bathroom.
Thank you.
Okay, anyone else have any other questions for the applicant? All right, hearing none, you have 3 minutes for rebuttal, should you choose to use it.
No, I don't have anything to say.
Okay. Well, with that, I will close the public hearing and open up for board discussion or a motion, please.
I have some concerns for the side addition, not having enough room to pass. I know they're asking for a 3.6, but I see on the survey, I see a 2.9 marked, and so I think the side reduction is even more than originally asked for. I think that could be a safety hazard.
What about the rear addition? We do have the ability to bifurcate should we need to do that.
Having 7.5 feet, I don't see that being a huge safety issue.
I mean, it doesn't sound like there are significant neighbor concerns. Certainly no one's objected. We do have a relatively small home on a relatively small piece of property. But, you know, certainly we need to have some space considerations. So, I mean, I would be on board to the extent there is, some decision to allow an expansion within reason. But a chair can make a motion, so.
I'm just not really sure what to do about this one. Because we don't have any hardships. I can see your point to the addition in the back not being as much of a safety hazard, but the one on the side. I'm concerned about the roof as well and how it joins, but I suppose that's for permitting to deal with, not us. So that's.
Simone Savino, Assistant City Attorney, just as a reminder to the board that the criteria for the variance must be based on the 27-80. So just a quick review of what's provided before you there might assist if that's going to be helpful.
Would the applicant be interested in bifurcating this request into approval of the additions individually? Is that-
First of all, we need to open the public hearing to get the applicant's discussion or consent on that, but I don't know that we need it. The applicant has made a request. The board has the power to grant it or something less than what has been requested. So if bifurcation is something that you or any other board member wishes to consider, you can make that motion, and you don't even need to bifurcate it, frankly. You can just grant one of the requested, so in this instance, all you would need to do is make a motion to grant the rear yard setback as opposed to the west yard setback, if that was your choice.
That is my
Is
question.
that correct? Legal?
Question.
Simone Savino, Assistant City Attorney, that is correct. So each time there is an and between the requests, that's essentially two variances that are being requested of you. You can approve or deny either or, based on how you feel.
Pleased that I nailed that.
All right. I'll make I move that the variance request for VRB 21-91 located at 1602 East Yukon Street as depicted in the site plan presented at the public hearing for a reduction in west side yard setback from 7 feet to 3.6 feet and reduction of the rear yard setback from 20 feet to 7.7 feet. With the following conditions. That we only approve the rear setback reduction.
Can I make a suggestion on that?
Sure.
What I would suggest, if you're going to do it that way, is simply say to reduce the rear yard setback from 20 to 7.7 and just strike the west yard setback.
All right.
You want to try it again?
Sure.
Right, so approve one, deny the other. It sounds like the direction you're
Correct,
going in.
correct.
Okay. And you can start, and if you need some coaching, we'll try and provide it.
Great.
Okay.
All right, well then we move that the variance request for case VRB 21-91 located at 1602 East Yukon Street as depicted on the site plan presented at the public hearing for a rear yard setback reduced from 20 to 7.7 feet be granted as depicted. That said variance as conditioned, with conditions, correct? No? All right.
Unless you want conditions.
No, the condition was that they don't get the side setback.
We'll get to that one in a minute.
There we go. based upon the applicant presenting competent and substantial evidence.
On the site plan. Depicted on the site plan.
Let's do it. Let's start it all over again. Why not? I have to read from the correct one to start with anyways.
Sorry.
Moving on to the correct location of the motion. Move that the variance request for VRB 2191 for property located at 1602 East Yukon Street be granted as depicted on the site plan presented at the public hearing for a rear yard setback reduction of 20 feet to 7.7 feet based upon the applicant presenting competent and substantial evidence in the record at this public hearing of an unnecessary hardship or practical difficulty when considering the 5 hardship criteria set forth in section 27-80 of code, specifically that the home is an older residence that is smaller in size and only having 1 bathroom. The addition to the rear will give additional living space and an additional restroom for quality of life.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second? I'll second it. All right, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor of approving the rear yard setback only, say aye. All those opposed? All right, we have a tie. That means that we're continued.
That just means that it hasn't passed, so you need majority vote for a motion to pass. So,
Okay. Thought when we had a tie vote, it automatically continued. Is that only true when we're voting on the entirety of the,
let me check for you,
Application.
just to confirm,
if you would
but
please?
my.
Rules
no,
may have changed since I last checked.
My main concern is the majority issue. Hold on.
While legal is checking, we'll still need a motion to address the side yard setback regardless of what we do on the front yard setback. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Additionally, I move that the variance request of VRB 21-91 for the property located at 1602 East Yukon Street for a reduction of side setback from 7 feet to 3.6 feet be denied due to the failure of the petitioners to meet his burden of proof to provide competent and substantial evidence in the record and at this public hearing of any unnecessary hardship or practical difficulty when considering the 5 hardship criteria as set forth in section 27-80 of the city code. Specifically that I believe the side yard setback reduction per the plan is actually more than the 3.6 feet reduction. And it proves to have some safety issues.
All right, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
All right, all those in favor of denial of the side yard setback, please say aye. All those opposed? No? All right. Denial of the side yard setback is approved, but we're still waiting to determine the result of the vote on the rear yard setback.
Simone Savino, Assistant City Attorney. So the chair is correct. When there is a tie such as there was tonight on the first variance motion, it's continued to the next meeting where we will have another vote.
Okay. So what that means is you can come back next month, or will it be next month, or will it be when is the next availability?
We do have availability for January.
Okay. So the rear yard is going to be continued until January. You can come back, and when you do that, you're going to want to be able to explain to us what the hardships are so that it's clear when we have that vote if you have any additional information to present to us, that would be your chance to do that.
Okay.
As to the side yard setback, it has been denied.
Okay.
But you have the option, should you choose, to go to city council and have them review that, if you want to appeal that issue. That's up to you.
Okay.
Okay?
All right, thank you.
All right, thank you. Have a good night. All right, fire away.
Okay. The next case is, oh, wait a minute. The next case is VRB 21-98, and this is addressed at 4009 West Estrella Street. And this is on RS75. The request is to reduce the front yard setback from 25 feet to 22.6 feet, and to reduce the corner yard setback from 15 to 4.7 feet. The property owner is John Disbrow. The applicant, the agent in this case is Patrick Lau. And the code section reference is section 27-156 with the district regulations for the RS75 zoning district being 25 feet for the front, 12 feet for the rear, 15 feet for the corner, and 7 feet for the side. This is work without permits. This is a site plan showing the property, the subject property. The natural resources and right-of-way reviewed and found it consistent. This application has received 17 letters of objection, with the majority of them complaining, or with the majority of the complaint being that this addition would be within 3 feet of the lot next door. However, from the site plan that the applicant has provided, there is a 20-foot right-of-way that separates this property on the west side from the next adjoining property. This is the aerial showing that subject area. The right-of-way intersecting is Thorn. I can't read it, I'm sorry. Yeah, Thomas. It's green here. Okay, and these are pictures showing that addition to the existing single-family residence. One showing the front and the other showing the side. The picture to the left is showing the front, and the picture to the right is showing that corner. In the determination of this request, the board would consider section 27-80 as grounds for either approving or denying this request. Staff is available for any questions.
All right, thank you. Would the applicants, you're already standing, so we're going to go ahead and swear you in.
Please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony? Thank you. Please repeat after me.
All right, when you step up, standard procedure, state your name, your address, and confirm that you've been sworn, even though we just watched you get sworn in.
My name is Patrick Lau. The address is 4009 West Estrella Street, Tampa, Florida, 33, you need the zip code? Okay. 29.
And you've been sworn.
And I've been sworn in.
My name is John Disbrow. I'm the owner at 4009 West Estrella Street, Tampa, Florida, 33602, and I have been sworn in.
Great. You have 10 minutes to make your presentation.
I got some pictures, sir. Can I give those to you?
You can either give them to
I made copies for everyone.
Okay.
This property was built in 1952. The footprint of this house has not been changed. The first two pages shows what it is now. The last page shows what it was. The porch and the carport was enclosed. And the reason it was enclosed because the owner purchased the house in 2019 and ready to move in and noticed that there were termite and rotted support issues on the front porch. So he went ahead and enclosed it, made it an interior space, not realizing he needed a permit to do so. And then he contacted me because he had a violation that needed to do a permit after the fact. And this is where I came in and applied for the permit and realized we needed a variance. So based on that, there's no change to the footprint. We didn't push any walls out. We just enclosed what was existing.
The house is about 760 square feet. We didn't make it bigger. We just enclosed.
Sorry, excuse me, Simone Savino, Assistant City Attorney. Did we get your name, sir, for the record?
Oh, John Disbrow, the owner.
Okay, thank you.
We did at the beginning, but generally, sorry, I didn't say this when you started. Before each person speaks, just state your name, because
Sure.
it's getting recorded as well.
Okay, this is John Disbrow speaking. When I purchased it, it was right when COVID started, so I started in like March of 2020. And my wife had noticed that there was rotting wood all in the screen enclosure. And I said, why don't we, and she was like, I don't want to move in it because what if a hurricane comes, it'll rip the roof off. So we just enclosed it and just tried to fix it up and make it nicer so that, it was safer. And I didn't know that I was supposed to pull a permit. So I hired him after one of the neighbors called us in, and we, of course, tried to improve it. And then I wanted to do it right, and I still want to do it right, though it's, regulation correct. But we did not put on an addition, as someone said, 3 foot from a neighbor. I don't know what that complaint is because nothing has changed.
All right, you still have plenty of time if you have more information to add. If not, if that concludes your presentation, just let us know.
No, nothing. Just that the setback, there's no neighbors within the setback. They're both on the street. One's on Estrella, the other one's on Thomas Street. So, and plus, it's existing footprint. There's no construction that moved any interior walls out towards any setback.
And this is John Disbrow speaking, to the right of the property, I think it's like 30 feet or so to the neighbor. And to the left, there is no neighbors. It's like on a corner lot, if you look at it. There's a commercial building to the left on the other side of the road.
Okay. Does that conclude your presentation at
Yes.
this time?
Yes.
All right. Are there any members of the audience who wish to speak about this petition? Seeing nobody. Does anyone from the board have any questions for the petitioners?
Hi. Patrick, are you the person who did the survey?
The survey?
Mhm.
No.
Okay. Maybe one of you can answer this still. So it shows, on the east side, shows that there's 17.8 feet. It looks like to the fence next door, but I don't see that there is a, setback or a measurement between the edge of the property and the property line.
Nothing has been changed on that. It's the same. The roof line, there's it's the way it was built back in 1951.
52.
Okay. Okay, so this is a little bit of this is a triangular lot. Can you just speak a little bit to, I realize you said this, but just for the record, speak a little bit to, the location of the house and then in reference to, again, the size and the shape of the lot.
This is a pie-shaped lot with having 3 sides, and 2 of the sides has a road. The south side would be Estrella, and then the west side would be Thomas.
On Thomas, it's overgrown and it's not really, it's just like an alley. So the back behind the house is not really a road. It's all overgrown all down the road, so it's only about 8 feet wide. So it's,
And then to the east is the house, but what's in concern is the enclosing of the front porch, which resides in the southwest side of the house, and then that extends along the west side towards the north side of the house.
Okay. And that was the part that was previously, I mean, maybe not enclosed, but there was a screen there.
Correct.
there were studs
Okay,
and screen.
okay. All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, any other questions for the petitioner?
Let's just look at the photos. Now that you've enclosed the carport, where are you parking? I'm trying to get an idea of just, you have 17 people that are speaking in opposition to this, so something is upsetting some folks. I mean, I agree that some of the 3 foot across Thomas doesn't make any sense. Is there a parking issue that's been created, or?
No, there's no parking issue. Basically, the parking is the southwest corner of the house.
Actually, this is John Disbrow speaking. On the right side, there's a huge parking. It's 15 feet by 40 feet. So you could park 6 cars on the right side, which we never have. And on the left side, you also can park 8 cars on the left side. So there's a driveway on the right side and left side. And when I purchased the home, that was all weeds, and there was a driveway there. But all I did is redo everything and make it nice. So I packed down rocks, so it's not paved, and I just kept it the same way it was, but cleaned it up.
And so this is facing the front of the home?
Yes.
For the front porch?
As you're looking at the front.
So, because I'm looking at some of these old pictures, and I'm guessing this carport was in the rear, so
Correct.
Someone was parking in the rear.
Correct, yes. And the front and the sides, so.
So they're parking everywhere. Gotcha.
It was a mess. It was a really bad looking place. And I'm just trying to improve it and, want to do it correctly.
Thank you.
Okay, before I close the public hearing, before I shift back to rebuttal, any last questions from the board? No? All right, you have 3 minutes for any rebuttal, to address anything else or present anything else that you would like to tell us, if you wish to use it.
No, we're good.
No thanks.
Okay. Well, then I will close the public hearing and open it up for discussion or a motion from the board.
I'll go ahead and make a motion. I move that the variance request for case VRB 21-98 for property located at 4009 West Estrella Street be granted as depicted on the site plan presented at the public hearing for a reduction in the front yard setback from 25 feet to 22.6 feet and a reduction in the corner yard setback from 15 feet to 4.7 feet with an encroachment for the eaves and gutters, based upon the applicant presenting competent and substantial evidence in the record and at this public hearing of an unnecessary hardship or practical difficulty when considering the 5 hardship criteria set forth in section 27-80 of the city code, specifically that this is a pie-shaped lot that adding on to would be difficult in any direction, but this applicant simply filled in this enclosed the screen porch and carport that were already there.
Okay, we have a
Second.
motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed? Motion passes 4-0. Have a great night.
Thank you.
Simone Savino, Assistant City Attorney. If you guys want, we can you can kind of explain why
Okay.
that is being continued to the next
I will-
meeting.
I will do that. I will note that petition VRB 21-24 is automatically continued because we do not have a quorum due to a conflict, which then brings us to VRB 136. Is that correct?
Correct.
All right. Ms. Madhu, fire away.
So the next case is VRB 21-136. And this case is, the applicant is requesting a continuance for this case to the next, to a future VRB hearing date to be scheduled. And this is because the applicant has applied for a formal decision to determine whether the lot is a legal non-conforming lot. And so they are waiting to hear a decision on that before they proceed with the VRB case.
You're requesting a motion for continuance?
Correct.
Well, and sorry, Simone Savino, Assistant City Attorney, the applicant must be the requester. I think Jane is just here to provide you with the background.
Okay. All right.
Correct. The staff report was provided. In the previously, Transportation had reviewed and found it inconsistent with comments that they needed to apply for an additional variance. However, the applicant has updated site plan and the need for that variance has been resolved, so they are good to go as is. I would call the applicant right now and then they would request for the continuance.
Okay.
We're against it.
Oh, you're against it?
So is the applicant here?
I thought that. I guess. Let me check. He said he was going to be in attendance.
You want to check downstairs and make sure, or is nobody's
Right.
down there for this?
The applicant. just
All
showed up.
right. That's good. Do we need to swear the applicants?
Yes.
Okay, let's go ahead and swear everybody just to be safe.
Please stand. We will be speaking this evening.
Okay, stand here?
Just-
Stand.
Just stand. Okay.
so-
Please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony that you're about to give today is the truth and nothing but the truth?
Yes, yes.
Thank you.
Okay,
I don't know if the Simone Savino, Assistant City Attorney, I'm not sure if the applicant heard what was already presented.
okay.
Not totally? Okay.
I'll have Jane, if you don't mind, Jane, just kind of refresh so they can hear and know that they're here to make their continuance
Correct.
request.
So I already presented the case to the board, but I would repeat because the applicant was not present at the time. This case is, the applicant is requesting a continuance because they need to apply for formal decision, which they already have, to determine a legal non-conforming status of the lot because this is a substandard lot by the City of Tampa standards. And that process has to be completed before they can move forward with the VRB hearing. And so they're here today to request that continuance. And I also raised the case with regards to transportation comments regarding an extra variance. They have updated their site plan as such that issue has been resolved and they don't need any further variances.
Okay, can I ask a question? from
Sure.
Ms. Madhu? So if the legal determination, they've applied for a legal determination, if that determination resolves in the manner that they're requesting, they will not need a variance at all?
No, they will be able to proceed with the variance at that time.
Okay, so they will still need a variance?
Correct, but right now they cannot proceed with the variance until we determine that this is a legal non-conforming lot.
Okay. I have a question for legal, Ms. Savino. We have people who are here this evening to speak against the petition. And I know the board has a decision to make sometimes about whether or not to grant a continuance. Is this an instance where that decision exists, or whether we are essentially required to wait until after this issue is resolved?
I'm inclined to say, Simone Savino, Assistant City Attorney, I'm inclined to say it's the latter, because this is a situation in which they're not essentially prepared to be moving forward for any type of determination from you guys right now, from this board.
Okay, and when you say that, you mean because the determinations on behalf of the city have not been resolved? Is that accurate?
Correct, because as far as I understand it, and I mean, this is for Jane to explain to you, the formal decision has to be in place prior to you making any decisions on this
Okay.
property.
Okay, and again, I'm just trying to be respectful of everyone's time.
Understood.
All right, okay. Ms. Madhu, do you want to confirm that for us, please?
Yes, the formal decision will have to be determined before they can move forward with the VRB, because that would determine whether or not they can proceed as they have planned to. If the formal decision is denied, then they will be going through a different process than the VRB, and if it's approved, then they would proceed with the VRB.
Okay, all right. Applicant, come on up and you can make your request, please. And when you do so, please state your name, your address, and confirm that you've been sworn.
Yep. Hello, my name is Assad Sheikh. Address is 426 South Oregon Avenue, Tampa, Florida 33606, and I'm asking for a continuance.
Okay, thank you.
Have you been sworn in?
Yes, I have been sworn in. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Mr. Attack. I was writing, didn't catch it. Should we take any statements as to the request for the continuance, or are we good to take a vote?
You have the statements from Jane already on the record, so if you require more, you can ask the applicant.
Okay. I will open it up then for a motion to continue VRB 21-36.
I move that the variance request for case VRB 21-136 for property located at 426 South Oregon Avenue for a reduction of the front yard setback from 25 feet to 20 feet, a reduction of the side yard setback from 7 feet to 4 feet 6 inches, and a reduction of the rear yard setback from 15 feet to 5 feet, be continued to the January.
Well, sorry, Samantha, it's just continued because we don't know when that formal decision would be
Makes sense.
approved.
Move that it be continued.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion to continue until the determination is made. Should we make any conditions upon that, or no?
I believe it's just the motion, just to
Okay.
continue.
All right, motion to continue with a second. All those in favor say aye. Opposed? Motion to continue passes 4-0.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you. Thank you.
So we'll be notified again? All right, moving on. 21-138.
All right, the next case before the board is VRB 21-138, and this is addressed at 2906 East 15th Avenue. The property owner is Domain Homes, and the applicant/agent in this case is Fred Henry. This is zoned RM24, and the request is to remove a 42-inch live oak grand tree. And this is in order to construct a single-family semi-detached residence. The code section in reference is section 27-284 2.5, and that's the permit for the removal of ground tree. This is the subject site. Zone RM24 as earlier stated, and the purpose is for a single-family attached dwelling, town home style. This is the proposed site plan that the applicant has put on record. Natural Resources Review, Transportation did not review, and right-of-way review and found consistent. The applicant has provided 2 alternate plans. This is the tree in question, with a picture taken from the rear side of the lot towards the street. And there's a pictures from the front of the lot facing the rear side. These are the alternative plans that the applicant has provided, showing alternative reconfiguration on the site in order to save the tree. There are no letters of support or objection, and the staff memo from our forester is in the staff report. In the determination of this variance request, the board would consider section 27-284.2.5 in the determination of this variance request. Staff is available for any questions.
One question real quick before we move on. You said Natural Resources found it consistent or consistent with conditions?
Consistent with conditions. Right away found it consistent.
Okay. Do you have those conditions, or should we hear those from Natural Resources?
I do have the conditions, but he's here, so he could probably speak to it. The condition he had was that mitigation would be required for the removal of the grand tree, and total mitigation will require an equal 22 type 1 mitigation tree measuring 2.5 inches DBH. I'm not really sure what that means, but that's tree speak.
That's good enough for me. Thank you.
All right. I'm sure that the applicant understands what is necessary.
All right. Has this applicant been sworn?
I have been, thank
Well, great. Come on up, state your name, your address, and just tell us that on the record.
Good evening, board. Good to see you. My name's Fred Henry, Domain Homes, 815 East Palm Avenue, Tampa, Florida, 33602. And appreciate staff's help and assistance with this project. And basically, Jane did a great job recap. Oh, been sworn. There. I knew I was forgetting something. All right,
Everybody forgets. Everybody does.
Yep. Well, thank you for the reminder. So yeah, basically, I'm usually in front of this board not to ask to remove a tree, but in this case we are, only because we really can't get away from it. And I know Ms. Jane had some examples there, and I don't know, can you see that on your side? Tell me how to use that. Oh, thank you. And yeah, this is one of our options, and you can see it's a duplex. Or townhome, if you will. I actually brought a rendering of this for your review as well. That's what we're going to propose. That's a just artist rendering of it. So the two, as you can see, the canopy would be in the way per the Natural Resources, but we did try to figure a way to slide it around. We are going to keep, we'd like to keep the 15-foot rear setback. Of course, we're required to have visitor parking on this zoning. We also try the option, as you saw in the example, to slide it back, which would give us a very, very thin, I want to say it's an 8-foot setback, and that would cause a situation with maybe a potential grade issue back there. And so just, it's sad, the location, it's a nice tree, and it's just the location prohibits working on the lot, even with, if you're doing a single family home. And to go back with what Ms. Jane was saying about the mitigation there, I got the report here. Oh, there we go. So there's the mitigation there from Natural Resources 22 type 1 mitigation, which we're in agreement with on that tree, if so granted. And to go along with, and it's hard to see in the overview on the satellite, but that's I-4 to the south of that property. And you'll see it right here with the FDOT retention pond in front. There's the subject property there. Bear with me, I'm getting the hang of this. Yeah, and so then we have, and there's some more units being constructed down here in the same fashion. But it'd be a nice project. I've also got the same pictures that Ms. Jane had on for your review. One side's a dead end. There's I-4 to the south, the retention pond we talked about, and there's the view with the subject tree looking north. And 29's a dead end at I-4. You can see the billboard up there with the cell phone tower looking west in front of the site, and subject tree is maybe, we're guessing, about 8 feet separation on that right there. Again, the property line is inside, so it is a tight area. Again, really nice tree, but like I said, we try to find a way to work around it, but we couldn't find a way to do that. So I'm here for any questions you may have, and appreciate your time and consideration.
All right, thank you. Does that conclude your presentation this evening?
Yes, sir.
All right. Does anyone in the audience wish to speak about this petition? All right, seeing none, I'll open for board questions. I have a question. It's for Natural Resources. And actually, you had some pictures that might be helpful. There's one.
You're welcome to use any of these you'd like, absolutely.
Yeah, there's one with the view looking north in front of the site, shows the tree and the what was, I guess, is that the existing house or the house that was there
yeah, that's the
before?
house next door.
Oh, that's the house next door. So,
Yes, sir.
I see.
That's to the east of our subject property.
Gotcha, that's on that side.
Yes, sir.
What was there before? Just a single family home?
Vacant lot.
Okay. Oh, it's vacant?
Yeah,
Oh, all right.
yeah. It's a tough little nook to build in over there, you know, and so that's RM24 zoning, you know, it's
Right.
kind of helping out a little bit with the density, but yeah, it's a vacant parcel.
Okay. Just for Natural Resources, I mean, is there really anything that could be built on this lot with that tree there?
So this is Stephen Iser with Natural Resources, and not really. Where the tree is, this is going to be 2-story. So you're going to go up. A lot of the canopy is already hanging over that property, probably because of whoever's owned the property next door had probably pruned it away from their side, giving it that lean. And then when you go from the setback, if you leave a 7-foot setback, you're given a 7-foot radius around this tree, when we usually require 20 foot. So you're talking a
Go
real
right
big
up to-
encroachment into that.
Yeah. Okay. That's all I had. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Okay, you have 3 minutes for rebuttal if you should choose to use it.
No, I just appreciate your time and consideration once again, and have a good holiday.
All right, with that, I will close the public hearing and open it up for board motion.
And Simone Savino, Assistant City Attorney, I just wanted to provide the reminder to the board that because this is a request regarding the removal of a tree, the standards that you're considering are found in 27-284.2.5 F4.
And we would rely upon the language of the tree removal motions.
Yes, that is correct.
Got it, thank you.
I'll make a motion. I move that the variance request for case VRB 21-138 for property located at 2906 East 15th Avenue be granted as depicted on the site plan presented at the public hearing for removal of a grand tree based upon the petitioner meeting the burden of proof with regard to the 6 factors for determining tree removal as set forth in section 27-284.2.5 sub F sub 4 of the city code for granting tree removal, specifically that the evidence provided in the record showed that the reductions of the setback for the primary buildings would not allow for preservation of the tree, and the applicant presented alternative site configurations that similarly would not save the tree in question.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed? Motion passes 4-0. Have a great night.
Thank you very much,
Thank you.
and have a good new year as well.
Ready when you are, Ms. Padu.
All right. The next case before the board is VRB 2201, and this is addressed at 4925 Andres Drive. Property owners are Jonathan and Jennifer Soria, and the agent is Mark Jordan. This is zoned RS 100. The reference code is section 27-156. The district setbacks for this zoning district are 25 feet for the front, 20 feet for the rear, and 7 feet for the sides. The variance request is to reduce the side yard setback from 7 feet to 5 feet and 6 inches, and reduce the rear yard setback from 20 feet to 12 feet. And this is in order to accommodate an existing garage setback and an addition to the existing garage. This is the subject property, and showing that in the aerial. This is the site plan that the applicant has provided. The section that is shaded in gray is what is new. Every other thing is existing. And that new portion, that proposed addition, is an outdoor covered terrace. Transportation reviewed and found it consistent, right-of-way found it consistent with conditions, with comments that the applicant be aware that there's a 7.5-foot easement in the rear of the property. These are renderings that the applicant has provided showing the proposal for the addition and the existing conditions. There are no letters of support or objection for this variance, and in the determination of the request before you, the board shall consider section 27-80 in consideration of the hardship requirement. Staff will be available in hand if you have any questions.
Thank you. Applicant, if you would come on up, state your name. State your name, your address, and confirm that you have been sworn, please.
I've been sworn in.
Okay, well, there we go. That's why we asked.
Absolutely.
We'll swear you in now.
All right.
Oh, and sorry, can we swear everyone?
Please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony that you're about to give today is the truth and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
All right. State your name, your address, and then on the record, confirm that you've been sworn, and then you'll have 10 minutes to make your presentation.
All right, my name is Meyer Weitzman. I'm an architect, and I am at 4102 West Mullen Avenue in Tampa, 33609. And I am here representing, and I have been sworn in, thank you. And I'm here representing Jonathan and Jennifer Sawyer. They are requesting relief from the rear yard setback and side yard setback in order to construct a new covered terrace, as was mentioned. The home was originally built in '84. The client purchased it in 2011. And so the existing home was built before the zoning requirements were in place. And that is essentially the hardship that we're presenting. And that because the building is not in conformance and we want to do this addition, we were told that we had to bring the existing building into conformance through the variance process so that we can complete this project. We feel that the proposed work is completely in keeping with the surrounding built environment. It's harmonious. It does not make the non-conformance any worse. And so, therefore, we are requesting that you grant this variance because, again, it is harmonious and it does not make the situation any worse than it already is. And that concludes my presentation.
Okay, is there anyone in the audience who wishes to speak about this petition? Seeing none, are there any questions by the board?
Just to be clear, the new encroachment, which is going to be that covered porch, has, the design is that it encroaches into the setback in order for it to just have a consistent line along the rear of the property.
That's correct.
Okay.
Yes, because we're simply extending the roof line, the gable end of that existing garage outward to form the roof. So it's a real clean, simple addition for them and gives them, a decent amount of space out there in which to enjoy their backyard.
The intent of this addition is that it's an outdoor kitchen covered but not an enclosed air-conditioned space. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay,
Yeah.
and would
By the way, the existing outdoor kitchen already exists.
right, it's just the covering
It's just a covered area, actually, not even covering the outdoor kitchen.
Okay. Is it, if that's the case and it is the owner's intent that this remain an outdoor covered but unenclosed space, would they agree to a condition that if the variance is approved, that this additional space not be enclosed in the future?
Absolutely.
Okay. Any other questions? All right, well then you have 3 minutes for rebuttal should you choose to use it.
I don't think I need it.
Okay. Well then with that I will close the public hearing and open it up for a motion or board discussion if needed.
I'll do a motion. I move that the variance request for case VRB 22-01 located at 4925 Andros Drive, as depicted on the site plan presented at the public hearing for a reduction of the side yard setback from 7 feet to 5 foot 6 inches and a rear yard setback from 20 feet to 12 feet with an encroachment for eaves and gutters with the following conditions: that the addition never be enclosed. For the purpose of existing the existing garage setback in addition to this existing garage, and that the addition never be enclosed. That said variance, as conditioned, be granted based upon the applicant presenting competent and substantial evidence in the record and at this public hearing of an unnecessary hardship or practical difficulty when considering the 5 hardship criteria set forth in section 27-80 of the city code, specifically that this is an irregular lot, and this home was built before before these setbacks were put in place. And the new addition is just simply following the lines of the current garage.
Thank you. We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? Motion is granted 4-0. Have a great evening.
Thank you, you too.
We on our last one, Ms. Badu?
Yes, sir.
All right. And this is the one you gave us the handout for,
Correct.
last case before you tonight is VRB 2209, and this is addressed at 3209 San Juan Street. This is, the property owners are Homan and Sarah Lajavardi, and their agent is Alan Dobbs. This is zoned RM16, and today their request is to reduce the principal building front setbacks from 25 feet to 14 feet, the west side setback from 7 feet to 6 feet, and the east side setback from 7 feet to 3 feet. They had 2 additional variance requests, but staff has determined that they do not require those 2 variances, and so I have them stricken from the request. However, because they did notice for it, I didn't completely take it out because they had already noticed. And the purpose for this is to construct a new 2-story single-family residence and a 1-story garage. The code section in reference is section 27-156. The RM district setbacks are 25 feet for the front, 15 feet for the rear, 7 for the side, and 7 for the corner. This is an aerial showing the subject property along San Juan Street. This is the existing structure that was previously on the property, and you would notice that the garage in the rear is really not meeting any of the setback requirements. And this is the new proposal by the applicant, and the request for the east yard setback is in order to accommodate a carport. Natural Resources reviewed and found consistent with conditions that the new home meet all natural resources requirement at the time of permitting. Right of way found it consistent and transportation as well. There are no letters of objection. We do have 3 letters of support that have been included in the packet. And in the determination of this variance request, the board would consider section 27-80 as the criteria for a determination for the applicant's request. Staff is available on ground if you have any questions.
Good evening. My name is Alan Dobbs, 5502 North Cherokee Avenue. I have been sworn. I started watching this broadcast at my office since I'm the last on the agenda. So I noticed at the beginning staff had mentioned there was an updated staff report. I checked on Ascilla. I did not see an updated staff report. So may I take just a minute to talk to Jane?
Of course.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, I was going to start my presentation by talking about, we have 4 variances here. Initially, that sounds like a lot of variances. We're getting 4 to build a new house. So I was going to mention that each one is unique and specific for a certain condition. So obviously, the 2 relating to the accessory building have been removed. So I just wanted to sort of explain that my clients are wanting to rebuild their house. They have undergone a lot of repairs to their house in the past, spent a lot of money on it, and then the most recent estimate that they had was extensive because the first didn't do it. So that's why they wanted to rebuild the house, because it's a very, I'm gonna go to the projector here. Do I need to push anything? Okay, it's just, yep, oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah, it's just a very cute Spanish colonial. I do a lot of work on historic properties where we do additions and renovations, and unfortunately, it just was not feasible to do anything with the structure. So I have extra copies of this because I tweaked the site plan just a little bit. So do I need to, can I present these and then ask the board if they can be submitted for the record? Okay.
Anything you wish to talk about,
Okay.
anything you wish to show us, you can give to city staff and they will take it from
Okay.
there.
It's just, I had modified this a little bit just for clarity. The brown hatched area here is the existing structure. So you can see how close the existing carport is. So our new carport is going to be further back. The front of the house is set, forward of the front setback for this zoning district. On this street, on both sides of the street, all the houses are pretty close to the street, so we're just maintaining that historic pattern. But I went on either side of the house with some dimensions, and they're all very close. These two are a little bit more, but then this is about the same. This is actually a little covered porch that projects out, which is right here. So that has a hard deck and an awning there. And so this just gave a general idea of what the new house could be. So we have the carport setback reduction, and that's open on 3 sides. The city has actually encouraged that in other historic districts. In Seminole Heights and Hyde Park, you can do that without a variance. It can be 3 feet as long as it remains open on 3 sides. One of the things with rebuilding this property, what we didn't want to do is to do a 2-car garage facing the street. Sometimes those are called snout houses, but it really emphasizes the vehicles. So we wanted to de-emphasize the vehicle and address it so that we can provide 2 parking spaces, which is reasonable in this area and around Tampa. So one would be the porte cochere, and the other would be the 1-story detached accessory building in the rear. I wanted to sort of test the floor plan. My client, after we submitted for this application, we started looking at some ideas for floor plans. So one of the things that we did was we pushed the porte cochere back a little bit so that it's here, but it still meets the setback requirements that we're asking for. They did not really want a front porch, but we sort of have this uncovered stoop here, and then we have a covered entry here. The massing of the house sort of steps back on the front to break up the scale of the house, and then on the back, we're within the rear building setback line that's shown on the site plan. And then we're also maintaining proper separation for the accessory building, which is basically 12 feet by 22 feet. So that gives you enough room for a vehicle and some storage. The time is not going here, so I don't know how much time I have left. So I'll just go
about 4
quick.
minutes.
Okay. So just the second plan, sort of, you can see how that massing sort of steps back, the stairs here. This is the entry porch that projects out. I have some elevations to show you, but to minimize the impact on this side, we're doing a hip roof, but we couldn't come all the way up to a peak because it blocked a significant part of this elevation, so we wanted to keep the height of this reduced. So this is what it looks like. So this is the most forward. Actually, this is the most forward than this. then this steps back, and then we have a cross gable across the back, and then you can see the porte cochere. The overall height of the house is below 35 feet. We're doing 10 foot for the first floor, 9 foot for the second floor, and about 18 inches for the floor trusses. And again, this is just to test the variances. I'm going to go back to the floor plan because the width of the house was one of the things that we struggled with. But this shows the side elevation. You can see how the porte cochere, which is a little bit less than 20 feet on the side, and then we have that side-facing gable. The front gable, you can see, sort of steps down a little bit, and then we have the accessory structure. So one of the challenges going back to the site plan was we basically have 29 feet to work with. When you do a concrete block structure, you end up with about 9-inch thick walls on each side. That's a real challenge to get a 2-room wide house. So that's why we developed a floor plan that is sort of 2 rooms, but we sort of limit hallways and stuff. So that was one of the hardships, is with this being such a narrow lot and trying to do a more typical layout on the house being 2 rooms wide. And so I have copies of these to submit for the record, so I'm going to set these aside here. And then I was just going to go through lastly my response to the 5 hardship criteria. This is RM24, so what's there is really an existing non-conforming residence and a non-conforming detached accessory structure, neither of which are structurally sound. And then many of the properties in the area, as I had mentioned, have reduced front setbacks and also have been either rebuilt or renovated. The house next door is actually on a larger lot. So minimal sized lots and large homes and duplexes with reduced setbacks is the historic development pattern in this neighborhood. To not be able to maintain this pattern is what makes this property unique and singular. The hardships are not self-created because it's an existing structure that was built in 1924. And as I mentioned, the structural repairs were extensive to make the house not feasible for doing an addition or extensive modifications to fit the homeowner's needs. The variance, if granted, will not substantially interfere or injure the health, safety, and welfare of others. We have, it was stated 3 letters of support, but I have 4, so I can figure out which ones may be missing after I do my presentation. But basically, the neighbors on either side, and the neighbor directly across the street, and the one kind of diagonally across the street have all supported this. And this board knows if anybody in this neighborhood objected, they would either issue a letter or they would be here in objection to this request.
You're just about out of time. If you want to go ahead and wrap up.
I missed my last 2.
Yep, go ahead, wrap up.
So the variance is in harmony with and serves the general intent and purpose of this chapter and the adopted Tampa Comprehensive Plan. As I mentioned, the variance is consistent with the general intent and purpose of this chapter because historic overlay districts, local historic districts, all have been worked out in a way to encourage and promote historic development patterns, which is what we're trying to do here. Allowing this variance will result in substantial justice being done, considering both public and public benefits intended to be secured by this chapter and individual hardships and practical difficulties that will be suffered due to the failure of the board to grant this variance. I'm just going to read it verbatim. The variance will allow, excuse me, an existing modest-sized non-conforming residence to be replaced with a more reasonable-sized home where most of the homes could be converted to duplexes or be able to accommodate an addition, many of which would still need a variance to vest existing non-conforming conditions. The variance would provide relief and result in substantial justice by allowing for the hardships and practical difficulties to be addressed. So with that, I'll conclude my presentation. So these are the floor plans, elevations, and site plan. It's an extra copy I have. here,
Yep,
so-
just go ahead and give those to staff.
With staff, okay.
All right, and that'll conclude your presentation? Because you're out of time, so.
No, it is, it's just the other letter of support that
Okay,
is missing.
you can give
But-
that to staff and we'll review that as well.
Okay, I thought I had it here. It's, sorry, let me get it.
I'm going to go ahead and ask if there's any member of the audience who wishes to speak about this petition. Seeing an empty vestibule, I'm going to say no. So is there any questions from the board
These
for
are
this
the four
petition?
letters, so I'm not sure which one's missing. Okay.
Any questions from the board? No? Okay, seeing none. Now you have 3 minutes for rebuttal, should you choose to use it.
No, I just because the time's always, run short, so I have some other information that can maybe help the board if there's any questions, but I'm fine for the.
Okay. All right, well, then now I will close the public hearing and open it up. Yes? Did you have-
Oh, that's okay. I was just going to
Okay.
add a reminder for the board.
Okay, all right. I will close the public hearing and open it up for motion or board discussion. And sounds like we have a reminder.
Sure, Simone Savino, Assistant City Attorney. So just for clarity for whoever becomes the motion maker, what is before you was originally 5 variances, and what actually needs to be accomplished tonight are 3 variances, as the last 2 were determined by staff and the department. They were unnecessary, though they were noticed. So it would end after the east side setback from 7 foot to 3 foot.
Can I have a point of clarification? I actually had 4 variances, so I'm trying to figure out what the 5th one would be.
Oh, sorry. Well, it would, the,
5, but ultimately we have the following 3. Reduce the principal front yard setback from 25 to 14.6. Reduce the west side setback from 7 feet to 6 feet, and the east side setback from 7 feet to 3.
Okay, thank
Okay?
you.
That's what's being requested. All right, do we have a motion from the board?
Sure. I move that the variance request for case VRB 22-09 for the property located at 3209 West San Juan Street be granted as depicted on the site plan presented at the public hearing for a reduction in principal building front setback from 25 feet to 14 feet 6 inches, west side setback from 7 feet to 6 feet, and east side setback from 7 feet to 3 feet. Based upon the applicant presenting competent and substantial evidence in the record and at this public hearing of an unnecessary hardship or practical difficulty when considering the 5 hardship criteria set forth in section 27-80 of the city code. Specifically, that it lies on a small lot that has an existing non-conforming structure on it that is suitable for the neighborhood, and it is also in a state of disrepair that it is not sensible to repair the home. And the construction of the new home will actually reduce the code violations and create a safer environment for the neighborhood.
Okay, we have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. All those in favor say aye. Opposed? Motion passes 4-0. Have a great evening.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. And with that, we're done.
thank you very much.
5:30 January.